hope you are enjoying the Christmas music. I have shared with you some of the reasons Christmas time is very special to me. I have been trying to tell my story in chronological order the best I can. However, I wanted to share a story about the Christmas miracle of 2024. So we are going to fast forward in this journey to December 2024. My children are grown now, and as part of our Christmas tradition, we travel to different places in the United States for our family Christmas trip. Nothing super exotic, we just find a place to go and get away for a few days. In 2024, we drove to a place that was about an hour away from where my mother lived. My wife and I decided to go down a day or two before and check things out before the rest of the crew arrived. The day we were scheduled to leave, I got a call while I was at work. One of my sisters told me that my mom had fallen and she was at the hospital with my other sister, but things weren't looking good. I immediately left work and went home to load up so we could head that way. Right as we were about to leave, my sister called from the hospital with my mom. She switched to FaceTime so I could see her. The side of her face and her eyes were bruised. My sister said she was about to go into surgery and wanted to talk to me before she did. While my sister couldn't really talk to me while in front of her, she whispered, "It doesn't look good." We were about an hour away when my sister called. I can't remember everything she said, but I do recall her telling me that the doctors wanted to meta-flight her to a city an hour away that had a better hospital that would be able to care for her. However, she was in ICU and may not survive the trip. My sister had different specialists coming to tell her different things, and they were contradicting each other. Some were saying to transport her, others were saying not to. I was now 30 minutes away and told her to wait until I got there. When I arrived, my sister explained what had happened. My mom fell asleep in her chair and got up to go to the bathroom before going to bed. As she walked into the bathroom, she passed out and smashed her face on the countertop on the way down. After some time had passed, she managed to call her friend to ask for help. Her friend called emergency services and they transported her to the emergency room. Apparently, my mother had blood clots in different parts of her body, and they moved to her heart and lungs. This is what they believed caused her to pass out. I think removing the clots from the right side of the heart was part of the first surgery. I remember seeing pictures of the clots they pulled out and where they were located in the heart. It was a lot. The right side of her heart was not pumping blood correctly, and they needed to address it. That is where the Impella device came into play. The way I understood it was the device was like a mini heart pump that can be used temporarily to assist the heart. Apparently, the one they had on hand was designed to assist the left part of the heart and not the right. Being that this was an emergency, the doctor figured out a way to get it to work on the right part of her heart. Evidently, this was a rare or unique procedure, as this case is supposed to be documented in upcoming medical journals. I arrived after the surgeries and while she was still in recovery. I can't remember if I got to see her the first night or not. However, we had different doctors, nurses, and assistants tell us that she probably would not make it through the night. They said her liver wasn't functioning correctly, her kidneys weren't producing urine, and there was very little circulation to her feet. And with the Impella device installed, she was on a 14-day clock. While my mom made it through the first night, there was no improvement. We were being asked to direct their next course of actions. I requested to speak with doctors for a summary of where we were. I asked them to give it to us straight without being too gentle because we needed to understand the situation. It felt like we were basically being asked to remove her from the machines to see if she survived or to continue with life-saving care. We needed the truth regarding the possible outcomes in order to make that decision. The doctors, with the presence of palliative care, told us that with multiple organs beginning to show signs of failure, it was unlikely that she would survive. If she did, her quality of life would be extremely low, starting with the kidneys. Since she was not producing urine, she would have to be on dialysis for the rest of her life. The liver wasn't functioning properly, so she would have to be on medication or have a liver transplant. At 79, that was unlikely. Then there were her feet. Since the heart wasn't pumping blood like it should, there was little to no circulation in her feet. They said that it is likely her feet would have to be amputated. This, of course, would leave her wheelchair-bound forever. There was also the potential for brain damage. Not knowing the full effects of her fall and all of the conditions listed above, they didn't know how or if it affected her brain. Then the cardiologist's nurse told us one of the most honest and profound things. She said, "You will regret any decision you make. If you choose to allow the doctors to continue and fight for her, she may live, but will have no quality of life. You will have to take care of her daily, and she will make frequent trips to dialysis. She will likely lose one or both of her feet and be in a wheelchair for the rest of her life. Or if you choose hospice care, she will die, and you will always question your decision." This was eye-opening. Apparently, she had made the choice recently for one of her loved ones and knew the feeling firsthand. I really appreciated her honesty and the experience she shared with us. My sisters and I did not want our mother to suffer. My mom lived by herself 3 hours away from us. She couldn't work and had very few visitors. If what the doctor said were true, she would be in some type of care facility for the rest of her life. We told the palliative care nurse that since my mother never wanted to live on life support alone, we would like to discuss hospice care. She was going to speak with the doctors and gather some information. Shortly after that, a young doctor stopped by to talk to us. I can't remember if he was the cardiologist or surgeon, but he was pretty cool. He basically said that she is still healing and the Impella device was working, so let's give her body 12 hours overnight to begin recovering from all of the trauma it had suffered. I thought this was the perfect answer for the moment. My sister and her husband were at the hospital almost all of the time up until this point, and it would give them the opportunity to get a hotel room and try to rest. I went back to see my mom. I like to think of myself as a bit of a tough guy, but I wasn't prepared for this. There she was, intubated and attached to different machines. Her face was extremely bruised and her feet were cold and purple. My sister stayed just outside the room while I visited with my mom. Here I was trying to figure out what to do with her care, and I didn't know how to pray. I had seen God answer prayers and perform miracles to save others, but I didn't know what to ask for. If I believed the doctors and asked him to save her, would she then have a miserable life? On the other hand, I didn't like asking God to take her home. So I basically asked for God's will to be done. I asked him if there is still a reason for her to be alive, let her live and completely heal her. However, if her time is over, take her home and don't let her suffer. I felt weird doing this because I learned to pray with faith and power, and this seemed like I was taking the weak way out. The next morning, we were told the Impella device was still working well and some of the numbers in her health metrics were improving, and that we should give her another 24 hours. This was encouraging, and we agreed to follow their advice. This quickly became the norm. On day 3 or 4, we were told that the numbers related to her liver health started to move in the right direction. Again, this was good news. Then things began to ramp up. Every day or two, things started to improve in a manner that was similar to marking off items in a checklist. The liver healed and the numbers were in the normal range. One morning they checked on her and she was producing urine. This led to her kidneys eventually recovering and then functioning perfectly. However, the mini heart pump was still operating at full load, and we weren't sure if her heart would pump without it. Also, she was still intubated, and there was the issue of her feet. My sister was always the first one there in the morning to check on her. When I got there, she told me she thought her feet were beginning to change color from deep purple to dark pink. I went back to check, and it definitely looked like they were improving. Next came the heart pump. Since we only had a few days left before it needed to be removed, they decided to slowly turn down the pumping power on the Impella in hopes that her heart would be strong enough to pump on its own. I can't remember the order in which things happened, but over the next week or so, they tried turning down the power on the pump with some success. They were also trying to remove her breathing tube. These are both test and go type operations, and don't always go well. They have to either re-intubate or turn the power up on the pump. However, eventually they were able to turn the Impella device down to its lowest power, and her heart showed signs that it was able to work on its own. They were also able to remove the breathing tube, and she was able to breathe on her own. They just needed her to respond so they could remove the Impella device. I went in one morning and the nurse told me she was able to hear us, move her feet, but she wasn't able to move her left arm. This was something they needed her to do before going into surgery for the last time. As he left the room, I began to pray and then spoke to my mom. I told her the current situation and let her know if she could hear me, that now was the time I needed her to fight through this. I think I asked her to move the fingers on her left hand first, if she could. I saw them move. Of course, I was the only one in the room at the time. I then asked her to use every bit of strength she had to move her left arm. She began to raise it and moved it to the middle of her body. I immediately ran to grab the nurse to let him know. He came by to check on her, and she was able to do it again. Now they needed the doctor to come by and see it before allowing her to go into surgery to remove the device. Eventually, she did her rotation and saw what she needed to see, and they scheduled the surgery. On top of that, the circulation in her feet was returning. Her feet were returning to their normal color. That was exciting news. The surgery went well, and she was moved to a regular room to recover. While her speech was rough, we were able to talk to her and let her know all the things that had happened. Then, after a total of about 3 weeks in the hospital, she was moved to a skilled nursing facility to recover some more, and we were able to celebrate Christmas with her. God again had performed a miracle, and we were able to witness it. A couple of things I want to note here. God, through Christ, gets all the credit. I also want to thank my sister who had the faith and strength to be beside my mom every step of the way. While I was stunned and wasn't sure how to pray, I believe her faith in Jesus and constant prayer was crucial to my mom's recovery. As of the writing of this story, my mom is living on her own in an apartment close to my sister. God willing, we hope to celebrate Christmas with her again this year. Thank you for listening. I hope you find this encouraging. My goal is to share the events of my life that point to the Lord in an effort to equip you with the truth found in God's Word, the power of prayer, and faith that can move mountains. If you are fortunate to still have family, enjoy them this Christmas. If you know someone that doesn't have family, remember them as well, and try to show them the love of Christ. If any of you watching this need prayer, just leave a comment with a brief description, and I will pray for you. Have a Merry Christmas.